Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon. My name is Rabia Carvalho. I'm a life coach and Reiki master. I work out of Westville, Durban in South Africa, and you may have seen some of my other videos, you may not have, but this particular set of videos is something I want to call story time. I want to celebrate the unsung heroes that walk among us, the big giants that we often don't see, and those are the women in our lives, the women, the mothers, the grandmothers, the children, little women basically, and their stories. So I want to talk a little bit about them and maybe even have a few over and do a few interviews with them. I think it's encouraging to know that a woman is not powerful simply by virtue of the money she has or the career that she has built for herself. But there is an inner power, there is an inner strength that has a lot to teach us. So here it is. The first woman I want to talk about to you is someone very close to home, because I think if I'm going to talk about other people, I need to be able to talk about myself first. If I can't reveal about myself, I shouldn't be revealing about other people either. I also intend to not be breaking any confidences here, so names will be changed. You must know up front. So I want to talk to you a little bit about my grandmother. My grandmother has already passed to the other side, and my grandmother is, I think, one of the most amazing women that I have ever met. I come from a very traditionally Portuguese family. Our family goes all the way up on one side, all the way up into the higher echelons of society, shall we say, which we do not need to go into detail about, and on the other side up the religious leg, so all the way up into the clergy. So that those are stories for other days. But my grandmother was a very strong Catholic homemaker. When I say homemaker, she really was a homemaker. She was the mother of 7 children, 2 of whom passed away. One was a cot death, so that leaves 5 surviving children. My grandmother was born before the First World War, and I'll never forget some of the stories she told me. So I want to share some of those with you, because I think there's lessons from her life that I've learned that I'd like to share with you all. So my grandmother used to tell me the story about how when she was little, she would wake up really, really early. And we had, she was on the family lands and their vineyards and olive plantations and almond trees and so forth. And she told the story about how early in the morning, they would all get up and they would rush off to the almond trees. Sometimes not the almond trees, the olive trees. Okay, so the almond trees is for another day. Today is the olive trees. And so there'd be 4 people to a sheet, and groups of 3 or 4 of these sheeted people. Basically, each person would grab the corner of a sheet and hold really, really tight and stand under an olive tree. Then there would be other people around this olive tree. These were massive trees, and so men would come into the center where the tree trunk was, and they would now proceed to beat this tree and shake this tree so that the olives would fall down. The olives were then sorted, and they would go either to make olive oil, or they would then alternatively go off to be preserved as olives to be eaten with food. And there is my phone making noises, and this is exactly what I'm trying to get to, is back in the day there was no such thing as technology, so there was nothing to interrupt people's relationships except work and day-to-day living. And I think nowadays we have so much more that interrupts our relationships. My grandmother told me about a time as well when they would shuck the corn. So they would harvest the corn, and then all of these massive corn cobs with their leaves and so forth would get dumped in piles. They would get dumped in piles in what was an open area on the farmland, and they would the workers would come, and the family members would come, and they would sit in these large circles with this corn in the middle, and they would sing and they would talk to one another as they worked, and everybody knew everybody. So the workers and the farm owners, there wasn't any differentiation in terms of where they sat or where they ate. Everybody ate together, everybody sat together, everybody spoke together. And so they would sit in these big circles. And it was one of the opportunities where if a young girl liked a young guy or vice versa, they needed to be able to have a way to tell the other person, because in traditional Portuguese culture, men and women didn't really communicate with one another. It was more via family members. So they would sit in circles, except for the immediate family, of course, right? Except for the immediate family. So they'd sit in these circles, and at some point in the evenings, the guy was interested in the girl or vice versa. One of them would get up and take a shucked corn. So the corn has now got no leaves on it. And they would get up and they'd walk around the circle up to the person that they're interested in, and they would place the corn cob down. And if the girl was interested, she would keep the corn cob. And if she was not interested, she'd toss it back into the middle of the pile like, goodbye, not gonna happen. But it meant, of course, that there was observing of one another. There was talking to one another in these, shall we say, controlled environments. But there was talking. And I sometimes think that in the technological age in which we live, we say so much, we type so much, we phone so much, and yet we say so little of actual substance. The great danger for me with technology is this texting, IMing, WhatsApping, IMO, Snapchat, all of these things. They are great tools. They do bring people closer, particularly those who are at a distance. But I have to say, and this is just my opinion, they also destroy relationships, because you don't see the intent behind the words. All you get is the words. You don't get the voice, the intonation, the eye to eye, the expression on the face from the person. You don't get any of that. You don't get to see, how did the person actually intend to say that to me? How are you today? Could be, how are you today? Or, how are you today? Or it could be, how are you today? How are you today? And a text doesn't give us that. I mean, we've got emojis that they may help a little, but a text doesn't give that to us. I'm grateful for voice notes, because they're one step further in actually bringing people closer to one another. But the danger of technology is that we speak so much and say so little. Whereas back in the day, they spoke so little but said so much. And I think we are, for the most part, at least the women that I've met, the women that have crossed my table, if they're not when they meet me, they certainly are by the time they leave. They are touchy, feely, hello, huggy, how are you? Because I think that human contact, physical touch, is an important thing. It's that I see you in the Indian culture, the red Indian culture, that I see you. It's the, greeting in the Hindu culture of the namaste, the source in me greets the source in you, the light in me greets the light in you. It's that sisterly hand in the hand and the other hand on the shoulder, or the hug, that assalamu alaikum. It's that physical contact that we lose touch of with technology. Technology gives us so much. It gives us the ability to cross over continents to touch one another. But the touch is limited by the words. And thank goodness for video conferencing, because then at least you can see the expression in people. Technology, I think, in many ways is to blame. It's to blame for misunderstandings, many misunderstandings as well. I've had women here who, they receive these text messages from their special other, perhaps their fiancé, perhaps someone in their family that they are close to. They receive these messages and they take the message, they accept this message with a lot of love. But the person is intending it either with sarcasm, or they are intending it that there's a hidden agenda. You can't see hidden agenda behind text. Always tell hidden agenda when you are standing face to face with someone. So on camera, basically, you can't see that hidden agenda. But when you're face to face with that person, when you're feeling the energy of that person, you can tell exactly what that person brings to the table with less words. So tell me, what do you think of technology? Do you think it's added to us? Do you think it's detracted from us in terms of communication? Do you think that texting is a relationship danger? Because there's many relationship dangers in texting. There's texting people who you're not supposed to be texting as well. And there's texting people who you should be texting and you don't remember to text. And there's texting inappropriate stuff that shouldn't be texted. And there's texting at inopportune times. So technology can really overstep the boundaries of relationships. And it can fall short sometimes in building those relationships. So I think of my grandmother, and I think of the women back in her days when they would talk over the fence and skinner. Yeah, they would talk about this and that and their lives and so forth, but there was that physical connection. Now we're all so busy being busy, we forget to live. We're all so busy speaking, trying to be heard, that we forget to listen. And we're all so busy getting wrapped up in trying to put our point across that we forget to really sit across the table next to, with someone we love and say, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? What do you think? Our grandmothers, they knew where it was at in terms of relationships. I'm not saying every grandmother, I'm sure there are some really sad stories out there. There are good and bad in men and in women. There is good and bad in both men and women. And I really do believe that as much as a woman or a man can be really, really amazing, there are people who can be really, really the opposite spectrum. It all comes down to choice. But I think that we can, in many cases, influence that choice by the way that we relate to people. And the best way to relate to people, still, in my opinion, is face to face. Face to face, where you can feel the other person's energy, where you can see the other person's intent behind the eyes, and when you can feel the energy when you hold that hand, or when you pat that back, or when you greet a sister, assalamu alaikum, or hello, or namaste, or whatever it is that you use in your culture. So I think technology, communicating through technology, is a blessing, a huge blessing, and it's a huge curse. And the women who really had it best in terms of that one thing were the women who were waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning and shaking that olive tree and waiting for the olives to come down and sitting together and sorting through the olives that would go into olive oil making, and off into olive fermenting, basically. And the women who were shucking the corn. I'm talking about women now because I am addressing a woman audience, basically. I do understand that will be men that will listen to this and take from it what you need to, but my video is addressed specifically towards women. It's not that I dislike men, it's that I observe Burda. Okay, so I want to wish you all an awesome day. I want to say to you, if you like the topic, stay with us. Send us some of your stories. Share with me some of your stories. We might have you on and perhaps do a YouTube connection where you can tell us some of your stories in this story time. We need to reconnect outside of technology and use technology for what it was created, to bring us closer. So before I start speaking a lot and saying nothing, I'm going to call it quits. I'm going to say to you, if you like this video, please hit like. There is my phone going yet again. If you like this video, please hit like, please subscribe, and that way you can catch a lot more videos. And feel free to share. If this message has meant anything to you, feel free to share it to other people. And I say to you, in whatever greeting may please your heart, Assalamu alaikum. Goodbye. See you soon.